Let me make my point. Let me make my point. It says morsel of meat, so it put it in a singular context. I knew you guys was going to try to, because he tried to use that before. Now,
well, morsel means a small amount of food. That's all morsel means, a small amount. Morsel means small amount.
No, it directly give a description of a morsel of meat. If I tell you, I say, Josh, you want a morsel of meat? I'm not talking about food in general. I'm specifically talking about a certain thing.
A small morsel just means small amount, bro. If I say give me a small amount of food, then whatever food I'm eating at the time is a small amount. You can give me a small amount of soup. You can give me a small amount of chicken. That's all morsel means. Small amount.
So when it said red pottage, what's the red?
Oh, when it says red pottage.
Yeah,
well,
what's the red?
What was in the pottage? What was in the pottage? Let's go back and read that. You go back and read that for the listening audience. Go back and read that.
What, it says the lentils? You talking about the lentils?
What are lentils?
Right, but lentils are not red.
No, lentils are beans or peas. There are red beans and red peas. Yes, there is, bro. You gotta look. You never heard of red beans? You a black man and you never heard of red beans?
Wait. Let me use it in this context.
Peace. Assalamu alaikum. This is your brother Rahim, your investigator reporter, coming at you again. We're gonna get right into it. I'm commenting on an Israelite from a debate that recently happened last Friday. His name was Awar versus Shah Allah. I went with Shah Allah because Shah Allah was basically right, and the subject was on what color was Esau. Now, the Israelite Awar, he made a bunch of mistakes. But I'm going to point out to you one that's particularly insane, because we're talking about food, and throughout the whole show he's trying to make everybody else feel like they don't know what they're talking about, when it's really him who really doesn't know what he's talking about. Now, as you heard, he didn't understand what meat was when Esau had the pottage and the lentil. He thought it was red meat and blood, because he says that's a trait that so-called white people have, which he claims that Esau is. But let me show you that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, King James Dictionary, meat. It says food. Then it gives you an example. And the same, John had his remnant of camel's hair and a leathern girdle about his loins, and his meat was locust and wild honey. Now, when I read that, meat in those times seemed to me anything that was basically solid. It doesn't mean meat from a cow, meat from a deer, meat from a goat or lamb. Something solid like locust and wild honey. Something that's a solid. Okay? Now let me go to prove it even more. The International Standard Bible Encyclopedia talks about this lentil, because he doesn't know what lentil is and what color it is. It says lentil. The King James Version, lentils. These are undoubtedly identical with the Arabic adas, a small reddish bean, the product of earthworm lens, a dwarf leguminous plant half a foot high, which is extensively cultivated in Palestine as a summer crop. The flower is highly nutritious, and the well-known food Revalenta arabica is simply one form specially prepared adas, are highly esteemed in Palestine and are used in soup and as a pottage. Known as mujeddara, this last is of reddish brown color. And without doubt, the pottage of Genesis 25:34. Okay? It's talking about that pottage that that Jacob had, that Esau wanted. And that's why Esau was basically called red, because of the pottage he wanted. And the Encyclopedia Bible Dictionary tell you that also. It doesn't say he's a so-called white man, as he say. But let's go on. Smith's Bible Dictionary says meat. It does not appear that the word meat is used in any one instance in the authorized version of either the Old Testament or the New Testament, in the sense which it now almost exclusively bears of animal food. The later is denoted uniformly by flesh. The word meat, when our English version was made, meant food in general. Or if any particular kind was designated, it referred to meal, flour, or grain. Okay, so in the Old Testament, it wasn't really talking about flesh. Now let's go on. I'm giving you another piece of evidence. Okay, I just have to give it to you. Now, International Standard Bible Encyclopedia for meat. I did the one for lentil. Meat in the King James Version used for general food. For example, I have my meat of herbs. So herbs are meat. And it tells you where to go to Idris 12:51. Watch this. His disciples were gone away into the city to buy meat. The Revised Version, British and American, food. Food is general. The English word signifies whatever is eaten, whether of flesh or other food. So it's just not meaning flesh. The Union Bible Dictionary, my third piece of evidence, it says meat. The food of the Hebrews was regulated by the appointment of God. Their methods of cooking meats were various, though they never ate of food dressed by any other than a Jew, nor of food prepared by other kitchen utensils than those of their own nation. What animals they might eat and what they ought not was particularly commanded in Leviticus. And you see the example. The import of the word meat seems to have undergone a considerable change since our version of the Bible was made, for in this it means food in general, or when confined to one species of food, always signifies meal, flour, or grain, but never flesh. Okay, which is now the usual acceptation of the word, because later on flesh became meat. And when people say meat, they automatically denote that as flesh because of the times and change of language. So Awar didn't even know what a morsel was, what lentils was, what color the pottage was. He's thinking it's raw meat and blood inside because he thinks that's the trait of the white man, which it is, but it's not Esau. Okay? But now, here's the kicker that's gonna set everything right, because he's like, It's not the beans that's making it red. The beans is not red, and Josh is telling them, brother, have you ever seen beans? But here's a bag of my lentil beans, people. The definition told you it's reddish brown. Here it is right here. You cook this with potatoes or whatever you put in your pot, it's going to be reddish brown, like the definition said. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Not only did I give you definitions, I'm showing you the beans. This is what Jacob was cooking as pottage. They ain't changed. It's the same beans. This is lentils. So, see, people, when you're dealing with these Israelites, you better be up on your A game, and you better have the right sources, because these dudes will lead you into a bunch of nonsense that makes no sense. And they just go and try to take what's in the Bible and apply it. What's going on out here in the world. Can't do that. So with that, you have your proof. And if any time you come against the Israelite and they start talking about that lentil and that meat crap, you have your ammunition. You take down this video, mark it down, write that stuff down that I gave you, go look it up. Because it will become a time you on the street, especially in New York City, 42nd Street, 34th, anywhere they at. They gonna start talking about Esau, especially when Caucasian people start walking past. Question them. Should you probably be up on YouTube. Alright? So there you have it. And I say, peace.